make great progress toward a deal which will work.
Tonight, a tentative agreement on the financial rescue package, but final approval by both houses of Congress may be a few days off. I'm Russ Mitchell. Also tonight, from Wall Street to Main Street, how the credit crunch is squeezing America's small businesses. Swing voters in the spotlight. We travel to one battleground state where folks in the suburbs could decide it all. And charged up, hitching a ride on board the new generation of electric cars.
This is the CBS Evening News with Russ Mitchell.
And good evening. The announcement came just after midnight. A tentative deal in Congress to rescue the financial industry and unlock the frozen credit markets. It is the government's biggest intervention in the market since the Great Depression. The plan provides up to $700 billion in aid, but in installments as needed, not a lump sum. Both presidential candidates have offered their tentative approval, and both the House and the Senate are expected to vote on the deal this week. The breakthrough caps a wild week of negotiations and false starts. And Thalia Ashuris is on Capitol Hill tonight. Thalia, good evening.
Good evening, Russ. As you know, the work has been going on round the clock. The devil has been in the details, but there is a tentative agreement. The primary players burned the proverbial midnight oil on Capitol Hill before emerging exhausted but upbeat about the outlines of a deal.
A deal which will work and will be effective in the marketplace and, effective for all Americans.
Again, all of this is done in a way to insulate the Main Street and everyday Americans from the crisis on Wall Street.
All this is a reworking of the administration's proposed $700 billion bailout of investment firms holding bad debt that puts a lot more restrictions on the Treasury.
This is a good product, in my opinion, and it's a critical product.
Under the plan, the Treasury would get just $250 billion to start and would have to prove the rest is necessary. Other key provisions, a taxpayer stake in the companies to benefit from hoped-for profits down the road, relief for struggling homeowners by requiring government agencies to renegotiate better mortgage terms, curbs on paychecks for executives benefiting from the deal, and insurance against losses to be paid for by financial institutions, not taxpayers.
The downside of not doing this is potentially such a catastrophe for our nation that we don't even want to think about it.
The compromise had lawmakers scrambling all day today to understand the bill's language. And despite the support of congressional leaders, there was strong opposition.
This is too much money in too short a time, going to too few people, while too many questions remain unanswered.
The irresponsible elites in New York City that caused this financial mess should bear the blame and the cost, or there should be no deal.
Despite some opposition here and anger among the voters, there is going to be a vote in the House tomorrow and in the Senate sometime this week. Russ?
Thalia, you talked about that opposition. Why are people, even with that opposition, so confident that this is going to pass?
Well, the bottom line is that even those who oppose this understand how jittery the markets are, how much concern there is in the markets, and they may not like this, but essentially they're going to go along with it, holding their noses. They're going to be convinced, apparently. Okay. Thalia Ashuris in Capitol Hill. Thank you very much. Of course, the financial meltdown is making this a very bad time for many Americans looking for a loan. Some of the hardest folks hit, owners of small businesses. Randall Pinkston has the story.
So, Kathy, did mailboxes all turn out okay?
Relief from the nation's credit crunch can't come soon enough for Don Manthe, who owns a small construction company in Virginia.
I couldn't get credit.
Even with a 13-year track record, Manthe's bank turned down his latest loan application.
And we were told no, they weren't interested in refinancing for a construction company because construction was tanking.
Technology firm owner Bhupesh Wadhavan was also rejected when he applied for a new line of credit.
We're not living paycheck to paycheck as a company, but I'm scared that's what it'll turn into as we continue to grow.
It's a common complaint for America's small businesses who depend on loans and lines of credit to buy materials, pay bills, and employees. In fact, 2/3 of the members of the National Small Business Association say they are affected by the credit crunch, which happens when banks make it more difficult to borrow money. A third say that bank loan terms, interest rates, and fees are higher than 6 months ago. That's underscored by a Federal Reserve survey which finds 2/3 of the nation's banks have tightened lending standards to small businesses, up from half in April. That's led many of them to take out second mortgages on their homes to pay expenses, like Don Manthe and Bhupesh Wadhavan, or they're financing their businesses with credit cards.
A few years ago, fewer than 1 in 5 companies cited credit cards as a substantial source of credit and capital for running their business. Today, it's almost half.
Even businesses with bank lines of credit sometimes get an unpleasant surprise. Washington, D.C. dog shop owner Jane Hewley's bank recently slashed her line of credit by 25%.
The safety nets are gone.
She hopes the Wall Street bailout helps her.
If they can free up money and get it moving again, then perhaps the banks will relax a little bit, my credit line will go back to where it was, and I can relax a little bit.
Another survey from the National Federation of Independent Businesses finds tight credit isn't the only concern of small business owners. They're also worried about inflation from higher fuel prices, the cost of materials, and rising utility bills. Concerns that a lot of Americans share, Russ.
Definitely, Randall. Let me ask you about the 3 people you talked about in your story there. Will they be helped by this measure? Do they know at this point?
We can say that they are all hopeful, but one of the business owners said that he is very skeptical that the Wall Street bailout will trickle down to Main Street.
I see. Randall Pinkston, thank you very much. And of course, the economy was front and center on the campaign trail today. After a busy week of back and forth on the bailout deal, now a scramble is on, and both sides use this Sunday to make their case. Chip Reed has the latest on Campaign 08.
At a rally in Detroit, Barack Obama claimed for himself at least some of the credit for the bailout deal.
This administration started off asking for a blank check to solve this problem. And Joe Biden and I said absolutely not.
Earlier in the day on CBS's Face the Nation, Obama said he will support the deal if the final language includes protections for taxpayers and homeowners. He was also asked if John McCain deserves credit for getting the parties back to the negotiating table.
No. For 2 weeks, I was on the phone every day with Secretary Paulson and the congressional leaders.
McCain said he too will support the bill if the changes he's been insisting on are included.
Protect the taxpayer, make sure that there isn't excessive compensation for CEOs.
McCain, who was criticized by Democrats for doing more to hurt the process than help, insisted that he did the right thing by briefly suspending his campaign to work on the deal.
I won't claim a bit of credit, okay, if that makes him feel better. But I'm going to be there working and trying to help solve this crisis.
But while he was reluctant to take credit, his advisors were not.
What Senator McCain was able to do was to help bring all of the parties to the table.
And if the rush to take credit sounds a bit comical, Saturday Night Live is finding humor in all aspects of this campaign, including this parody of Sarah Palin's interview last week with Katie Couric.
You went to the UN for the first time. How was that experience?
Oh, you know, it was just amazing. So many interesting people. Though I have to say, I was disheartened by how many of them were foreigners.
Palin is now spending most of her time cramming for Thursday's vice presidential debate against that man, Joe Biden, one of the Senate's acknowledged masters of foreign policy. Chip Reed, CBS News, with the Obama-Biden campaign in Detroit.
And with that vice presidential debate just 4 days off, Sarah Palin's parents were interviewed at their home in Wasilla, Alaska this weekend by early show anchor Harry Smith. Harry asked them about the critics who say their daughter is not ready to be vice president.
She's ready to do anything she wants to be, and she perseveres, she works so hard, she learns so fast. Yeah, I don't worry about that at all. Yeah.
And you can see the full Harry Smith exclusive interview with Sarah Palin's parents tomorrow morning on The Early Show. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the electric car campaign powers up again. And when we come back, why a death row inmate sentence was stayed with just hours to go.
When it comes to quitting smoking, are you a tortoise or a hare? If you're a tenacious tortoise determined to quit, Take the first step. See your doctor and ask if prescription Chantix is right for you. The Chantix approach is a pill with a program. And take note, it's a non-nicotine pill. It helps keep nicotine from reaching key receptors in the brain. It can effectively reduce that urge to smoke. And because slip-ups happen, you can't have too much support. So include your doctor, friends and family, and consider Get Quit, a support plan for Chantix users. If you notice agitation, depressed mood, or changes in behavior that are not typical for you, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, stop taking Chantix and call your doctor right away. Some patients have had these symptoms while taking or after stopping Chantix. Talk to your doctor about any history of depression or other mental health problems which may worsen while taking Chantix. Tell your doctor which medicines you're taking, as they may work differently when you quit smoking. Chantix dosing may be different if you have kidney problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Patients also reported trouble sleeping and vivid, unusual or strange dreams. Until you know how Chantix may affect you, use caution when driving or operating machinery. The quitting road isn't for sprinters, but stay with it. Studies show 44% were able to quit at the end of 12 weeks. So talk to your doctor about the benefits of quitting smoking and ask if Chantix is right for you.
Beltone is conducting a new product trial. Come in and experience our advanced new hearing technology and feel what it's like to wear our most intelligent and smallest instrument. Call now to see if you qualify for this important Beltone trial.
Townhouse Toppers. The only cracker with raised edges. To keep dip in its place. Townhouse Toppers, part of the Townhouse family. When it comes to toppings, we've got the edge.
We need more energy from all sources. Fortunately, there's enough untapped oil and natural gas here in America to power more than 60 million cars and heat 160 million households for 60 years. But unlike many countries, our Congress puts much of it off limits. A majority of Americans say that should change. Today's technology allows us to tap these resources and protect the environment. So let's put America's oil and natural gas to work for Americans.
It seems like every day, science discovers another reason why the nutrients in orange juice are good for you. The list just keeps growing, which means the reasons to start your day with a glass of Florida orange juice keep growing as well. So don't miss your morning glass. Florida orange juice, healthy, pure and simple.
The first hurricane to threaten the state of Maine in some 17 years swept past the coast today on its way to the Canadian Maritime provinces. Hurricane Kyle, with top winds near 80 miles an hour, drenched coastal areas with windswept rain and high waves. The U.S. Supreme Court meets tomorrow to review the case of a Georgia man whose death sentence was stayed last week. Troy Davis was convicted of killing a policeman back in 1989, but questions about his trial have been multiplying ever since. Here's Mark Strassman.
I heard the shots right along where that curve is right there.
Larry Young believes his testimony helped put an innocent man on Georgia's death row, and it haunts him.
I never seen Troy Davis. I don't even know who he is.
Troy Davis was convicted of the 1989 murder of Mark McPhail, a Savannah police officer fatally shot trying to break up a street brawl. Larry Young was beaten in that brawl and desperate for a doctor. He now says police coerced him to identify Troy Davis as the killer, which was a lie.
You don't know who killed the officer? No idea.
Okay. I don't even know who hit me. You're going to do about anything somebody tell you to do is to get some help.
In all, the testimony of 9 eyewitnesses put Davis here on Georgia's death row. But 7 of the 9 have recanted and now say that police, eager to arrest a cop killer, pressured them to accuse an innocent man. Tanya Johnson never testified about what she saw right after the shooting. 2 other men hiding guns.
So why didn't you speak up then?
Scared. Still scared now about it.
So why are you coming forward now?
Because it needs to be heard before they end up killing the wrong person.
No court has ever heard the new Davis evidence. But Savannah police insist Davis did it, and they coerced no one.
Absolutely propaganda to keep Troy Anthony Davis from being executed. I will stand by that investigation to the day I die.
And the murdered police officer's son resents efforts to clear Davis's name.
Picture every Father's Day and having
no one to give anything to. And going to the park and seeing a father and a son playing catch and knowing you never had those memories.
Last Tuesday, the U.S. Supreme Court gave Davis a late stay of execution. Tomorrow morning, its justices will review his case. He came within 2 hours of dying. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Savannah, Georgia.
There was a burst of violence in Iraq today. 3 bombs went off near markets in Shiite Muslim neighborhoods, killing at least 25 people. Earlier, a bomb exploded next to an Iraqi army patrol, killing 1 soldier. And in the lawless waters off Somalia, a U.S. Navy destroyer is keeping watch on a gang of pirates. The pirates are demanding a $20 million ransom for a Ukrainian-operated ship loaded with Russian tanks and weapons. The pirates say they will fight to the death if anyone tries to interfere. And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, swing voters in the suburbs. They may be the key to winning one important swing state.
Help us donate over 30 million servings of fresh vegetables to those in need by purchasing V8 Juicer Soup. Because like vegetables, giving to others can be good for your heart.
Have you heard about Miralax? It's a different kind of laxative that's kind to your body.
Miralax relieves constipation with no bloating.
No cramping.
And now, no prescription.
Restore your body's natural rhythm with Miralax.
My name is Jane, and I've got osteoporosis, but I'm an on-the-go woman. I've been active all my life. That's why I'm excited about Reclast, the osteoporosis treatment my doctor gives me once a year. My doctor says 1 IV of Reclast can help protect me while I'm on the go for 12 months. How? Well, Reclast helps to re-strengthen my bones to help make them resistant to fracture. And with Reclast, well, no other osteoporosis treatment is approved to help protect in more places: hip, spine, even other bones.
You should not take Reclast if you're on Zometa, have low blood calcium, kidney problems, or you're pregnant, plan to become pregnant, or nursing. Take calcium and vitamin D daily. Tell your doctor if you develop severe muscle, bone, or joint pain, or if you have dental problems, as rarely jaw problems have been reported. The most common side effects include flu-like symptoms, fever, muscle or joint pain, and headache.
Do what I did. Ask your doctor about Reclast. Year-long protection for on-the-go women.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Ladd. I'm a frequent heartburn sufferer. At some point, I realized that heartburn was getting between me and the things I love to do. I was getting heartburn 2 or 3 times a week, and it was causing disruptions in my life. My doctor recommended I take Prilosec OTC, the #1 doctor-recommended OTC acid reducer. Now heartburn won't keep coming back. It's all thanks to Prilosec OTC, the round-the-clock heartburn blocker.
Steaming is such an important part of fresh Asian cuisine.
It unlocks the intricate flavors of ingredients.
Like spicy red peppers and zesty oranges.
But not everyone has a bamboo steamer.
That's why we created new Asian-inspired Healthy Choice Cafe steamers.
Our innovative steamer cooks right in your microwave to bring out the fresh taste.
For tender chicken and fluffy rice in a delicious sweet and spicy sauce.
New Asian-inspired Healthy Choice Cafe steamers in 4 authentic recipes.
He's the man behind the plan to save the U.S. economy.
I'm embarrassed, I'm outraged.
And 60 Minutes is behind the scenes with him. You can't afford to miss it tonight.
Tomorrow, who is Sarah Palin? Find out from the people who know her best, her parents. Their first morning show interview, only on The Early Show, tomorrow.
Republicans chose Minnesota for their convention with the hope of winning the state for the first time since 1972. And with polls showing a neck-and-neck race, their goal could well be within grasp. Tonight, in our continuing series on swing states and swing voters, we talk to Minnesotans in the suburbs. Like most of the country, the top voter concern in Minnesota is the economy. Wright County, just west of Minneapolis and St. Paul, is suffering the worst foreclosure rate in the state.
Like in many places, we've seen home prices fall dramatically, which has led people to feel that their home definitely is worth less. They have less buying power.
And less spending is causing businesses to close on Main Street in Monticello. Bank manager Bob Veering, an independent who voted twice for President Bush, believes Barack Obama is more in tune with the economy than John McCain.
His message of change is something that, I, for one, am looking for, because I think much of the mess that we're seeing is a lack of regulation, lack of oversight in the mortgage industry over the past several years.
Wright County is part of the growing 7-county ring around the Twin Cities. 1/4 of Minnesota's voters live here, and they are 95% white. This state's swing vote. One thing favoring Obama here, a majority of Minnesotans think the Iraq War was a mistake.
And not only was he against it from the beginning, he got the fact that we had no business being there. He gets the fact that the world works well when we do it on diplomatic means rather than at the barrel of a gun.
When Democrat and schoolteacher Colleen Hogan hears McCain speak about victory in Iraq, she has a hard time imagining what that looks like.
I have friends with whom I grew up whose kids have died, one who's had his leg blown off.
But independent Anoka County Commissioner Scott Ledoux, like many Minnesotans, trusts McCain's foreign policy resume more than Obama's.
I go by experience. John McCain has much more experience. The poster that he put out when I fought Larry Holmes for the heavyweight championship of the world.
A retired professional boxer who served in the Army, Ledoux thinks Obama just isn't ready to be commander-in-chief.
McCain has had more time in a Vietnamese prison than Obama has in Congress.
Record gas prices have Andrew and Deborah Crivero and their neighbor, Arlen Johnson, thinking more about the nation's energy policy and supporting McCain's call for more domestic exploration.
We have to take everything we have, start to, bring oil and gas online while we're developing alternative sources of energy.
We need to build some nuclear plants. We also, John McCain is not afraid to voice his opinion on drilling in the Gulf.
Even for these Republicans, McCain's reputation for bucking his own party connects.
McCain has been very unpopular with a lot of the conservative Republicans because of his ability to work the Senate and make compromise. When he makes a decision, he's making it for America.
Still, Democrats Jim and Roxanne Bakula see a quality in Obama that they say trumps that.
Well, there hasn't been somebody since John Kennedy that can really move people. We are not going to be able to change things like energy or Social Security or Medicare unless it's really a grassroots movement.
One thing both campaigns can count on in Minnesota, good voter turnout. The state has the highest rate in the nation. Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, what's got these car lovers so charged up?
Do you own an oil company? Well, if you have mutual funds or a pension or other investments, chances are you do. Learn more. Visit energytomorrow.org.
Everything that goes into each of the 13 different varieties of Mrs. Dash, all those natural herbs and spices, is just as important as what doesn't. No salt, no MSG. Everything that goes into Mrs. Dash is there to make sure that what you get out is nothing short of delicious. Mrs. Dash, salt-free, flavorful. And try the 10-minute marinades from Mrs. Dash. If you have trouble sleeping, Lunesta can give you a great night, 7 to 8 restful hours of sleep. But did you know that a Lunesta night can help give you a great morning? A morning refreshed, recharged. You might even wake so rested, you'll find a way to make the day special.
Class, today we're gonna make some music.
Lunesta helps you fall asleep quickly, so take it right before bed. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active. Until you know how you'll react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Do not take Lunesta with alcohol. Call your doctor right away if after taking Lunesta you walk, drive, eat, or engage in other activities while asleep. In rare cases, severe allergic reactions can occur. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. 1, 2. Why wait another night? Ask your doctor how a Lunesta night's sleep can help you wake this refreshed. Lunesta, a great tomorrow starts tonight.
Townhouse Toppers. The only cracker with raised edges. To keep dip in its place. Townhouse Toppers, part of the Townhouse family. When it comes to toppings, we've got the edge.
When you see what we've done with veggies, you'll think it's uncanny. Introducing V8 soups from Campbell's. A full serving of vegetables in a soup so velvety and delicious, you won't be able to contain yourself. New Campbell's V8 soups.
Where do Americans get 2/3 of the oil and natural gas we rely on? North America. Surprise? Learn more. Visit energytomorrow.org.
Monday, Sarah Palin.
We will never forget that we are there to work for you, the people of America.
Just days before the vice presidential debate, Katie Couric goes behind the scenes of the campaign with tough questions America wants answered. Monday, only on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Finally, Congress was very busy this weekend. In addition to that financial bailout bill, it passed a $25 billion package to help car makers build more fuel-efficient models. Well, it turns out some consumers are already way ahead of the auto industry. Here's Ben Tracy.
When General Motors unveiled its first plug-in electric car earlier this month, there was plenty of prototype hype. This weekend, California car buyers got to see it, but can't yet buy it. Compared to current hybrids, the Chevy Volt uses more battery power and less gas. It's charged by plugging it into a standard outlet.
Are we going to actually see this in a showroom where I can buy it and drive it away at some point?
Yes, and you're going to see it by the end of 2010.
Gas prices, higher mileage standards, and better battery technology are sparking a race among automakers to electrify their fleets. Most are now developing plug-in hybrid or fully electric cars that can run exclusively on battery power for about 40 miles.
This, for us, is the future.
But it's also a blast from the past.
In 1996, electric cars began to appear on roads all over California.
The documentary, Who Killed the Electric Car, detailed GM and Toyota's first attempts at selling fully electric cars in the late 1990s.
I tell you, when I noticed that GM was losing interest was when I wanted to release my car, and they wouldn't let me.
10 years later, these futuristic cars were almost entirely gone.
Electric cars and plug-ins are just back from the dead.
The film's director is now working on a sequel, The Revenge of the Electric Car.
To see electric cars come back and begin to find like a real niche makes you think that change is possible when people want it.
Some people are so revved up about the idea of electric cars that if they don't have one of the original models like this one, they aren't waiting for the car companies to start selling them again. They're actually making their own.
And so that's the quick and dirty way if you want.
So-called conversion classes are now being held in cities like San Francisco. Drivers swap traditional engines for homemade electric ones, and most of them actually work.
You just plug it in.
Nick Zart is in the process of electrifying his Alfa Romeo.
I've got the engine more or less figured out, the controllers more or less figured out, but the battery will be the last thing.
Those of us a little less handy will have to wait another year or two before electric cars go from concept to the car lot. Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Later on CBS, 60 Minutes, an interview with Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson. And don't forget Harry Smith's exclusive interview with Sarah Palin's parents tomorrow morning on The Early Show. Thanks for joining us this Sunday evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York. I'll see you again tomorrow on The Early Show. Good night.
He's the man behind the plan to save the U.S. economy.
I'm embarrassed. I'm outraged.
And 60 Minutes is behind the scenes with him. You can't afford to miss it tonight.
CBS News. Experience you can trust.
Next on CBS 2 News at 6, a family search for the strangers who saved their son when his heart suddenly stopped. It's a CBS 2 exclusive.
A little boy's angry words for the mystery hit-and-run driver who killed his dad.
Plus, Congress cuts a deal on the $700 billion banking bailout, but will House Republicans go along?
And we're looking at more warm weather on the way, but there is some relief in sight. I'll have your forecast coming up next.
CBS 2 News at 6 is next.
Their BMW didn't make it home. But they did. Winner of a 5-star crash test rating and a top safety pick award.